Have y'all seen the welder? Have you seen the welder anywhere? No? Where's that welder? Haven't y'all seen the welder? Man, I hope he didn't leave yet. Man, where have you been? I've been looking everywhere for you.
Where have I been? I've been here all day, boss.
I'm gonna need you to get up in that rack and fit up an Olet on the side of this pipe.
You need me to go in the rack? You need me to fit an Olet? You're crazy, man. I'm a welder. I'm not a fitter. Abraham wrapped my leads.
What's up, my Weld Tube family? It's your boy Matt back again with another episode of Weld Tube today. And today we're doing a laying out on an Olet, okay? An Olet like if we were on a fixed pipe in the rack. So being a welder, I don't claim to be a fitter. So I'm gonna show you guys a couple tools that we got in the box that most welders would have on their truck or on site to get by with what you have without having, you know, thousands of dollars worth of fitter tools. So just basic hand tools, how to put them together and how to use them to lay out a pipe in an odd dimension, okay? So stay tuned. All right, guys, so two very, very basic tools every welder is gonna have in their box is gonna be a framing square and a torpedo level, okay? Everybody's got these. What can we use these for? To fit a pipe, okay? So if you slap your level on top of your square, sit it on your pipe, okay? You have two flat sides on a round surface. There's only two places on this square that are gonna touch the pipe, okay? So if you level this on top of your pipe, then you can mark where it's touching, then you know what's 12 o'clock, and you also know what's 90 degrees off of that. So you can separate your pipe that way, really simply, real easy with just these two basic tools. So it works great for finding the center and also 90 degrees off of that. So it's super fast, super cheap. I mean, this is maybe $15 worth of tools, okay? So if you ever had to find center on a pipe without a center head finder, because they do make them. I mean, everything I have here today to do this with, they do make tools to make it easier, but this is for the welder that doesn't have those. So a bubble level and a square, took me 1 second there to find 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So that's one way to do it, okay? Another thing we can do is every pipeliner, every rig welder I know carries some receipt paper in your box. Super cheap, couple bucks for like 10 rolls, so you have enough for your whole life. But we can use this as well, and this is for the easy ones. This is for your 12 o'clock, you know, 45, 90, and so on. But if any of you guys are laying out branches and stuff like that, we use this quite often. It makes it pretty simple. So how this works, you'll wrap it around, you know, make sure it's nice and square. Rip off the excess. Square it up. And when you get it squared up, take your knife, make sure it's nice and tight. Okay? Take your knife. Overlap it, so you're gonna cut through both of them so you make the wrapper exactly the size of your outside diameter of your pipe. Score it. Lose the drop. And now we have a wrapper that's exactly the outside diameter of our pipe, okay? So now to divide our pipe up, if you fold your wrapper in half once, you'll have 12 and 6, okay? We're gonna put a line on here. So you'll fold it. Fold it again. Try to be as accurate as you can with this stuff. The more accurate you are at this part of it, the more accurate your layout will be. Fold it one more time. Okay? Cut your corner off for your tape. Now when you unfold it, it's like when you used to make stuff when you were a kid, okay? So now we can wrap this around our pipe. You tape it, whatever you want to do. Get it up there, get it centered. Just like we found our mark over here, we'd have a mark, set it at 12 o'clock, then we have our 12, 9, and so on. So the more cuts you put on the tape, the more segments you'll have. So if you want to divide it up into 16 segments or whatnot, like you would for your branch or whatever, you just fold it more and then you'll have more layout lines. Super cheap, super easy. Just got to think outside the box a little bit. Now, stepping up a little bit from that, this is one of my go-to guys here. You can call it a center head, you can call it a crow's foot, whatever you want to call it. Comes with any combination square kit. We'll get this in here, okay? That'll sit down on your pipe or any round surface. And then same thing with our bubble level. We can stick our level on the side of our blade, level it, and right on the side of your blade right there. Now you know exactly where 12 o'clock is on your pipe. Okay, same thing, mark that 12 o'clock and we can go from there. So another good way to find top dead center of any pipe. Now, what about if your angle isn't 90 degrees or 45? What if it's something crazy like 28 degrees? Like if you have to come out of the side of this up into another pipe in a rack or whatnot, what are you gonna do then? That's why we're really here. All right guys, so here on a dry erase board, okay? I'm gonna show you how to do this if it's an odd angle or an odd degree. We're not gonna go on our standard 45, 90, and so on 180. So for instance here, we have a 5-inch schedule 40 pipe, okay? The outside diameter is 5.5 inches. We need to put our Olet at 28 degrees off of top dead center, 12 o'clock, okay? How are we gonna do that? Remember back in school when you were learning math and you didn't think you needed to learn anything? Well, it's catching up to you. But this isn't that hard, just if you think about what you're trying to accomplish, okay? That's the kicker. If you make it real world, the numbers mean something, and it's not just random numbers, okay? So, just go through a couple little things here, refresh if you will, it may have been a minute. So pi, we all know is 3.14 inches, okay? Our circumference is diameter times pi, all right? So our diameter is what we already established, it's 5.5 inches, right? So the diameter equals 5.5. We're gonna multiply that by 3.14 inches, which is pi. And that's gonna give us, and I'm gonna work on this as we go. So 5.5 times 3.14. So we have 5.5, our diameter, times pi, that's 17.27 inches, okay? So what is 17.27 inches? That's our circumference. That's the distance all the way around the outside of our pipe, okay? 17 and just a hair over a quarter. So we have our distance in inches and we have our distance in degrees. So now we got to get them all in the same plane, okay? They got to play together. So what are we going to do? It's really quite simple. Let's delete that, erase that real quick. So how many degrees are in a circle? There's 360 degrees, okay, in the entire circle. We need to know what 28 of them is. So what are you going to do? You're going to divide your circumference by 360 degrees, okay? So we have 17.27 divided by 360. It's going to be a very small number. Equals round up to 0.05. Okay, so just a hair under a 1/16 of an inch. But now you're wondering, well, what is that? This distance here, 0.05, is inches per degree. Okay, so now we have 0.05 inches per degree of our pipe. Now all we need to do is multiply this number by no matter what degree it is we're trying to find, if it's 28, 63, whatever it is, 0.05 times 28, 0.05 times 28, 1.4 inches, okay? So this 28 degrees is the same as 1.4 inches off of 12 o'clock, okay? So then we can go back to our pipe where we made our line on the 12 o'clock with a flexible ruler or like a fabric or what am I thinking? Like an alterations type place has those fabric tape measures. Anything you can use to measure around the round surface, we can set it on 12 o'clock, measure over 1.4 inches, and we know what the center of our Olet needs to be to make it 28 degrees. it's really not that difficult. When you think about the numbers and what they actually mean and how to use them, you can use this for anything. Like I said, any size pipe, any degree, this little formula will work for it. And I kind of learned this on my own, so the least I can do is pass it on to y'all. So stand by, we're gonna lay out this pipe, we're gonna tack up this Olet, and we're gonna burn this puppy out, all right? Stick with us, guys. So now we're gonna lay out the Olet on the pipe. So we figured out our math, and we figured out 1.4 inches off 12 o'clock will give us our 28 degrees, okay? So using my little flexible magnetic ruler here, I'm gonna cheat an inch, put it right on my line, on my 12 o'clock line, and we're gonna wrap over. So 1.4 inches is just a hair under an inch and 7/16. 7/16 is 4.375. So we'll come around, we have 1 inch, inch and a half. So it's just under that 7/16 mark right there, okay? That's gonna be the center of our Olet. So once we find that, we can get our Olet, whatever that may be. This instance, we're using one side's our weld Olet, the other side's like a socket weld. So I'm just gonna measure across that it should be 2 inches, but I just wanna double check. And it is about a 1/16 higher than that. So now, since it's 2 inches off the center, it's gonna be an inch in each direction. So I wanna mark the outside so I can it's hard to tell looking through the hole to find the center by eyeballing it. So by marking the edges, you can get your Olet right where you need it to be. So about an inch on each side of that line, I'm gonna make another line. So come back down to the line we just laid, mark an inch here, mark an inch down here. So then when we sit our Olet on our pipe, the edges of it, we'll be able to see right on the inside. You can see the top and bottom lines to make sure we're right on that center. It's tough if we just use that one dot to try to eyeball it. So by splitting the difference over there, we know we're nice and perfect. So now that we're set up like that, I personally, some guys like to mark the inside of the Olet, some mark the outside. I mark both and kind of split the difference. So go ahead and just hold it here. I'm gonna go ahead with my marker. I'm gonna trace the inside. And I'm gonna come to the outside, trace that as well. It's important that you don't move it. Try to keep it real steady. That's okay. Okay, so now we have our inside and our outside line, okay? Now with our center punch, I'm gonna come on the inside, right on the center, in between those two lines. I'm gonna put a prick mark with my center punch all the way around, so as I'm using the torch to cut it, we don't lose our lines, okay? You don't want to cut the dots off. You want to come up right up to them, but you want to leave yourself some meat there so you can fine tune it with your grinder, your carbide bit, or whatever you're going to use to bring it out. So it's easier to grind more than cut your hole too big. So I'd rather have it a little on the small side. It's important that you leave a square edge. You don't want to bevel the bottom, okay? You want to make sure it's nice and straight. Just square cut, like if you use a hole saw to cut it, for instance. Just do a little bit at a time, check it. We're about there, we're almost there. That'll do. Thanks again for tuning in today, guys. Hopefully you learned something new about some tools you probably already have on hand, but maybe a different way to use them, help you in the field. We're welders, not fitters, so any little bit of help can go a long ways. And no one ever really taught me these things, just stuff I learned along the way, especially the math stuff. So hopefully you guys learned something new. Please like, subscribe, comment. If you want new content, different ideas, send them our way, and we'll keep making y'all videos, okay? Tune in next time. We'll see you then.